The all-female space crew is back on land and straight into Backlash. But as you may have heard on This Morning earlier, Radio 1 Breakfast Show presenter Greg James is behind a campaign to send an all-female British crew to space, backed by Sir Richard Branson. And guess who's expected to be on board?
This is all so bizarre because I've only just been found after going missing in a hot air balloon, apparently, a few weeks ago, so I'm spending very little time on terra firma at the moment. But, yeah, Radio 1 ran a poll, and they call it Air Force Hun, and it's me, Alison Hammond, Vorders, Natalie Cassidy and Gemma Collins. You thought it was Joan Collins, but it's Gemma Collins. And today... Carol Vorderman just texted me before we came on and said that Richard Branson has genuinely offered us an astronaut experience to see how much we like it. Thank you.
You know, the whole thing makes my hackles rise.
Oh, just because you're being asked to go.
Oh, well, first of all, I was marginally interested when I heard it was Joan Collins, but then you told me it was Gemma Collins, so I was a bit upset about that, because I'd love to see Joan Collins in space with that big hat. How would she fit the helmet on?
It would fly off, wouldn't it? It would just float off.
Absolutely. When I saw those women coming out of that space capsule, I just thought, you're all so proud of yourselves in your little space suits and your little experiences and holding your daisy and kissing the ground. And I thought, it is one giant leap backwards for womankind.
Oh, Janet!
It really is.
No, but you know what? I agree with Janet, because I think they came off and, you know, they all look like they've been through that thing, you know, the ChatGPT thing or whatever, the AI thing that makes you look like Barbie. They all look like they're avatars of themselves. And you'd expect that something like that scene at the end of Gravity when Sandra Bullock is looking down on Earth, and it just is amazing, and it makes you think how tiny humanity is and everything like that. You look at that, you look at that, and you think they must be having some big thoughts, and then they try and articulate them, and Katy Perry says, "Yeah, we're putting the ass back into astronaut," and you think,
but she's an
really?
American pop star. She's not going to say, "It was."
No, but I don't think, Janet, that you were sort of thinking about even just the way they look. It's the whole idea of them going up and what it
raises
means.
my hackles is the misuse of science, the waste of fuel. All for what? I mean, for 7 years, I was on the board of the Science Museum. I care passionately about science and about communicating science and how science and exploration and breaking frontiers is so important, and I want it communicated to kids. I want people to study science and get involved in science. And I see something like this, and I can only see a backlash, frankly. I don't see it as helpful.
About these women. I just don't understand why, and I appreciate that you know a lot about science, and I revere the work that you've done in that previous role. But I do not understand the anger about it. I really don't. I mean, for a start, it's got people talking about space. It's got young people talking about space. We heard little snips of what they say. Gayle King was actually talking about it. She was talking about Jeff Bezos's campaign to be able to get all of the litter on Earth, to be able to dispose of it and everything.
Well, he needs to get rid of all the litter caused by his company.
I think one thing...
When William Shatner went up, Captain Kirk, no one said a word.
No, but I think part of the issue
by
is...
a company that makes more waste than almost any other organisation in the planet.
However, I think there are a few things we do have to recognise here. It's lovely what Jeff Bezos is saying about litter and all of that stuff, but the background to that is also about the colonisation of space. And in terms of people wanting to carve up space and which bit of space belongs to who, that's a really important part of this discussion. But also, when you look at world events that are currently happening at the moment, in which women are always affected more than men when it comes to world wars. We have a humanitarian crisis in Sudan, for example. You have a group of women who are very privileged, and I think it's an incredible thing they go up to space. I think perhaps what we needed and what we wanted as women was for at least one of them to talk about looking at the world, but also understanding just the horrors that women go through. That was missing.
But maybe they will, Charlene. They only just came back yesterday.
No, I get that, but I just think with this huge moment in space...
what the cost of that trip, what it could have done for the women in Darfur, the women in Gaza,
Well, let's spend
women
less on
suffering.
war and use some of that to help those people as well.
I don't
then,
think a
that's what I
space
think.
trip like this is a good use of money. I really don't.
I would just tell you that it's water vapour it's fuelled on, so it's probably the only bit of Jeff Bezos' empire where he doesn't waste resources and energy. That's one of the pluses,
But
I
space is
suppose.
now littered with rubbish from all these people going up on these fairy tale trips.
And also
really
rather,
bothers me.
The whole
rather
of space
expensive.
is
They're-
littered.
But you know what? They're not astronauts. It's space tourism.
It's space
That's what it is.
tourism,
You know.
and for the very rich, the very moneyed, and the very well-connected. But in terms of being well-connected... Lovely segue there. We have another one of the space Huns that may well be joining our Denise and our Alison in space, the utterly wonderful Natalie Cassidy, who sent us this.
Ladies, I'm in. Astronaut Cassidy, or Castronaut, to the rescue.
There we go. So I think we've got the full contingent.
Well, I hope you'll all be there to wave us off and not with all your bitter comments about it.
I'd love to go to space. I can't think of anything
Well, you're
that
not
would be more
invited,
exciting.
Mariella. Sorry.
Don't get me wrong, I'll be
By
there to wave you off.
Yeah,
Don't
there you
worry.
go.
I'll be there. Right, MI5 have warned that China is accessing the medical files of thousands of NHS patients, and it could pose a big security threat. The data of 500,000 patient volunteers has been given to a company called UK Biobank to use for medical research. But it got us thinking generally about data, really, and how comfortable we are with sharing our data. What do you think, Dens?
Well, I have to say, I can't say I really understand all of this about this China bio thing, but I just think, and I know we talked earlier and we all agree...
Well, this is a pool of information that scientific organisations from all over the world can access for research. It's just that simple.
So they can access our medical records, but not our names and addresses related
and
to
the
it.
people whose records are in this biobank have volunteered in the first place.
The genie is out the bottle, which we were saying earlier. You know, my thing on a much more sort of general term is I cannot bear it when you go to a department store and you want to buy 3 pairs of knickers and you put them on and you want to go and they go, what's your email? What's your... It's none of your business. And I said to this person, I just want to buy my pants. And she said, well, most people are happy to give their information. And I don't want to give my information. And it's always, would you like a paper receipt? Yes, please. I don't want an email receipt. They are harvesting data at every single opportunity.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, they have been doing that now to us. All of those giant corporations like Amazon that we were talking about earlier and you know, all of them, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's empire, they've all been built on taking our personal data. And in fact, Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the internet, is actually trying to create something at the moment where you get back, you're given back what you never gave away willingly, and you control all your own data in these pods, and you get, like a pension fund, you can move it from company to company, but you control it.
But I think...
But I would say that actually the genie is out of the bottle. We've been giving away all of that information now for decades, and actually it would be good if we started using it in a more positive way. As Janet's saying, you are going to actually get huge leaps in terms of scientific understanding, in terms of AI and health, all of those things. I don't know why we don't have an ID card, because quite honestly, that would solve a lot of problems in this country as well, and all that information is already out there.
Yeah, I find it bizarre that you're asked to prove your identity by finding a utility bill.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like going back to the 1950s.
Well, it does.
Almost. But to just give you another example of completely unnecessary information that's required, the other day I went into a department store in central London, and I was walking through there on the way to somewhere else, and I thought, I'll just have a quick shop. Oh, I could have my eyebrows threaded while I walked through. So I walked up to the counter and I said, can you fit me in? I noticed there was an empty chair. And the woman went, phone number. What do you need my phone number for? To do my eyebrows? And she said, phone number and address, please, for our database. I went, you don't need to have it.
No, you don't. You don't. And also,
do
the
not
thing
need
with
to
credit
have it.
cards as well, you know, when you order a pizza, you order something online, they want the credit card details. So they want the long number, then they want the what's it called? The expiry date. And then they go, security code. It's not a security code because you've just asked me for it. And I'm giving you it so that then the man at Pizza Express can book a holiday.
Oh, what makes me laugh?
All of your information.
What's really, really funny is when I book... If I'm booking a table in a restaurant, You do all that with your credit card because it's the only way to make sure you can get a table in advance now is you get the credit card, give all the... And then up comes, when's your birthday?
Yes!
Like, none of your business.
I don't like when they follow up and they go, you know, we'd like to continue our relationship. And you're like, I just bought a scrubbing brush.
Yeah.
I don't really want to have a relationship
But I
with
think,
you.
as you've all sort of said, in terms of being a protector of our data, I think for the moment that we have mobile phones, we buy things online, we've kind of said goodbye to that, and that's something that we have to reckon with and be able to deal with, really.